Did you know the United States of America almost never happened? In 1776, a group of rebellious colonies declared independence from the world's most powerful empire, Great Britain. But few people know how close that revolution came to total failure, and how a mix of bold ideas, brutal winters, and sheer luck helped shape one of the most influential nations in history. By the mid-1700s, 13 British colonies lined the east coast of North America. These colonies were growing fast in people, trade, and ambition. But they were still ruled from across the Atlantic, under a king they didn't elect. After fighting alongside the British in the French and Indian War, colonists expected more freedom. Instead, they got new taxes, strict trade rules, and no representation in British Parliament. Do you remember the famous phrase, "No taxation without representation"? That wasn't just a slogan, it was a battle cry. Events like the Boston Massacre and the Boston Tea Party were sparks in a growing fire. In 1776, representatives from the 13 colonies met in Philadelphia. There, a young lawyer named Thomas Jefferson wrote a radical document, the Declaration of Independence, stating that all men are created equal and that governments must serve the people. But declaring independence was easy. Winning it was the real challenge. The American Army, led by George Washington, was small, poorly trained, and often unpaid. The British sent thousands of professional troops to crush the rebellion. The first few years of the war were a disaster for the Americans. At one point, Washington had only a few thousand soldiers, many with no shoes, surviving a frozen winter in Valley Forge. Morale was collapsing, Congress had no money, and Britain was close to victory. Then, something unexpected happened. The Americans won the Battle of Saratoga in 1777, a stunning upset that changed everything. That victory convinced France, longtime rival of Britain, to join the war. In 1781, British General Cornwallis surrendered at Yorktown, effectively ending the war. Just 2 years later, in 1783, the Treaty of Paris officially recognized the United States as an independent nation. But independence was just the beginning. The young country now had to figure out how to govern itself. At first, the system was weak and chaotic. States argued. There was no president, no army, no real money. So in 1787, delegates gathered again in Philadelphia to write a new constitution, a document that would become the foundation of American democracy. It created 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial, and included checks and balances to avoid tyranny. But let's not forget, this Constitution, as revolutionary as it was, still excluded women, enslaved people, and many others. The land of the free had a long way to go, and that struggle would define the next 2 centuries. The United States was born in revolution, shaped by debate and tested by war. It was built on ideals: freedom, representation, self-governance. But those ideals were always challenged by reality. The real story of America is not just about founding fathers and fireworks. It's about the constant fight to live up to the promises in that declaration. So the next time you hear about the birth of America, remember this: it almost didn't happen. And what we have today was never guaranteed. It was earned.